here for our third Coffee Talk episode. This time we're going to be talking about the important subject of voting, which is especially pertinent just with the upcoming election here in the United States on Tuesday, November 3rd. And joining us, we've got a trio of Minnesota Crookston student athletes. We've got Tristan Momeault, who's a freshman competing in both cross country and hockey. We've got Charlie Craig, also a freshman competing in volleyball, and Lauren Wallace, who's a redshirt junior athletically, but has been here for 3.5, 4 years with the volleyball team. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Pleasure.
So the first question I have is just, first off, is this the first presidential election that any of you have voted in, or elections in general that you voted in? And just how are you feeling about that going into specifically the 2020 election?
This is my first time voting, so I've never actually gone to the polls before. So I think it's usually a little more exciting when you actually go to the polls, but still, I know it means a lot just doing my absentee ballot. So
for me, I just turned 18 in April, so we had our provincial electoral in Canada. So we and I was here during that time, so I had to actually send in my my choice for that. So this was kind of a first weird, I could say, first time for me, but definitely something that I wanted to do. So I was happy that I could do that from, even though I'm not in my province.
This is my first time voting as well, and I did absentee ballot too. I've never been to the polls either. But
how exciting is it for all of you to just have this as your first time? And were there just any uneasiness about it, or obviously just with the state of this election being a lot more, absentee based, is it a little less than what you expected being able to vote from the poll? Did you envision being able to go to the polls to vote? Just how has it played out, and how does that compare to kind of what you were envisioning maybe a few years ago?
I think for me, our generation has really amped up voting this year. I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention in the past or what, but I feel like on social media, I've been seeing it all over the place. So I think, I don't really know what I envisioned, but I think I'm glad to know that our generation is taking this seriously, and the people in college do really want to go vote. So I think that's been a good part of the experience.
yeah, I mean, I also, on my social media, like Instagram and TikTok too, I saw a bunch of just celebrities and other influencers talking about voting, and it really did make me want to vote more too, and it kind of got me a little bit excited about it. I felt a little bit cool, oh, I'm voting for the first time. So I think that's really important too, that they are advocating to go vote too, because it'll make other people want to.
Absolutely.
I think from an outsider's perspective, and talking to my family back home and stuff, I think they've definitely seen a lot more ads, just telling people go vote. This is the time, right? This is our time. So I think definitely it's been a bit more push than a few years ago, especially coming from a different country, right? So I think this year has been a lot more pushing for people our age, especially, to go vote.
Tristan, what do you see as the differences between the U.S. and Canada? Obviously, you've been, here during the majority of this election process, or when it's really heated up with the debates and political ads. How does that compare to what you're used to back in New Brunswick, Canada?
Well, I think definitely it's a lot longer process than we have usually. Our prime minister goes in and then makes his statement. I could say to propose a new election, right? A month in advance. I kind of saw. I'm not quite sure how you guys do it here, but I kind of seen things from almost a year ago. So definitely a lot longer. I feel like here it's definitely split like two, that you got like your two parties. We are definitely there's a lot more parties back home. So I feel here's a bit more, I don't know, concentrated towards two different things, two different ideas. With talking back home, it's a bit more, it's spread out. I don't know. And the push for the ads and the campaigns and all that is just so much bigger compared what we have. So yes, it's a lot different, but just knowing that we only have like 37 million people, and I know you guys have a lot more than we do, so it's definitely a lot different from back home.
With the absentee process, especially just directed to Lauren and Charlie, like when you first heard or first realized that's probably the way you were going to be voting, and is it what you expected, or what challenges did you face with just that process, and how do you feel about that process that you had to go through for the absentee voting?
One thing with the absentee ballot is when you request it, you have to put either your social security number or your driver's license number. And when you actually fill it out, it has to match, but you only do one. So It was like, I had to make sure that I did the same thing on my absentee ballot that I did, or on my request form for like the actual ballot. So that was one thing. But my dad told me just like put both on the first request form and then it'll match up. So that was good. And then I was also able to track it. So I checked online and made sure that my ballot was counted. So that was a good peace of mind, knowing like it got there, everything went smoothly.
Yeah, I felt like it was kind of what I was expecting. I didn't think I was going to be able to go in and vote. But my mom actually requested my absentee ballot because I'm from North Dakota, so I voted like out of North Dakota. And so, yeah. But I had to try and figure out like with the license number or like social security. So I was just like, which one did you use? Yeah.
Yeah, and mine also went to my house and I was here. So then my parents had to send it to me, like, and they put it like in a care package. So
have you guys all encouraged other people to vote, or what have you guys done to try to just encourage your teammates or just friends on campus to just get out and vote, whether it's, you know, it's a little tricky now from an absentee standpoint because you pretty much had to have already done it based on the recent rulings in order to, you know, pretty much for your vote to count, because there's not going to be an extension past election day. But just what have you guys done to try to help get out the vote just in this generation and just on the campus and within your teams?
And I was actually reached out to by a company that said like, hey, here's a couple scripts, like would you be willing to like create a video and post it on TikTok just telling people to go vote? So I actually did have a little bit of experience with that. So I just followed a couple different scripts and just basically told people to like vote early or request your ballot. And this was a couple weeks back, but I think that was good, just putting like a little PSA out there for everybody. And I'm glad that there's companies out there that are reaching out to people saying like, hey, tell your friends, because I think it means a lot coming from a peer.
So one of my roommates had already like voted before I got my absentee ballot, but then my other roommate, she had her absentee ballot at the same time as me, and I was like, hey, we have some free time, let's just vote right now. Let's just do it.
Personally, I haven't told anybody to go vote or anything, but I don't know. I've been trying to keep up with what's going on and try to talk to people about like, oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Like, what do you guys are your thoughts, right? I don't know, just trying to start something maybe to if they haven't voted yet, or if they weren't really sure if they were going to vote or not, just to maybe start a conversation or not influence them to go vote or anything, but just, I don't know, try to get something going, right?
How important is it in your mind to get out the vote and to go vote, and just for this younger generation, just to set the policies for the future generations to come, and just basically how important is it in your mind to vote, as this is, all of yours, your first elections. And Tristan, you can chime in too, just from your perspective, just for Canada as well. I mean, it's not just a United States thing. It's obviously important to vote wherever you are, to just help set the policies for years to come.
I think this being like our first election, it's very important to just start off right and like get in the habit of voting. So now we've done it once, and I don't know, every time this comes around, it's really important to go out and vote and kind of exercise that right, because we should be able to have a say in what happens. And then I feel like you can't complain if you didn't go vote. Like if you don't like what happened, well, you should have voted. So just that mindset too.
Yeah, it's definitely something important that we have to exercise, right? It's our duty to do that. And I really like your point, Lauren, that if you don't vote, then don't complain, right? So I feel like everybody should try to express what they think, and by voting. And it's definitely something that if you don't do it first, you're probably not going to do the second and third time coming around. So it's good to start off the right way, and then you just do it every time. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important to vote. And like, I feel like a lot of people, especially like around my age, are like, oh, America sucks or whatever. And it's like, well, you can change that. Like, what are you going to do about it? Oh, nothing. Well, you can vote. Like, you can do stuff to change America for the better. Like, it's your choice to do that.
No, I think it's awesome. And I think you're right just about, if you don't vote now, if you don't vote that first time, I think it gets harder to start that habit. Like when you hear of some of the, I remember just hearing about I think it was Shaq, who is like, in his 50s, and this is the first time he's ever voted is this election. And it's just interesting to hear. I think it was him, and I think there have been a couple others that have come out since then and have said the same thing. So you're not setting that, in your college years and at this time, then I think it becomes harder to start that process. And because I remember personally, like I did vote the first time. My second election, I don't think I ended up voting just because I wasn't even sure what I should do, because I was living in Tennessee at the time, but I don't know if I would have been considered a permanent resident because I was just an intern at the University of Memphis. So I wasn't really sure about that. So I like second guessed myself and then didn't vote and kind of regretted it. So then I've made sure to vote so this would be my fifth presidential election, I think, that I'm eligible to vote for. And I think the fourth that I did vote, but because I voted absentee as well. So it's definitely important from my perspective. And like you guys made the point of, don't complain if you're not letting your voice heard, because you do have, as much as you might not think that you have a voice in it, you certainly do. Because I mean, it could come down to just a few hundred votes or just a very slim margin. And whether it's the presidential election or senators or representatives, they're, all these elections could come down very close. And I think, the young people and people in general are just important to get their voices out there. So it's very, very encouraging to hear from all of you, just your thoughts on voting and just the importance of it in your minds. And yeah, I guess my last question I have is just if someone was just having doubts about voting or just kind of on the fence going into these last few days, what would you guys do to try to convince them to, because obviously, absentee might not be the best option, but there still certainly is an option to go to your polling place on election day or do some early voting options that are available, I think, starting this weekend. So what would you guys do to try to convince that person that's on the fence about voting that's your age?
I think that I'd ask her, like, what's important to you, right? Because this is what elections are. Like, you vote for the person that represents your values, right? So I don't know, I ask them, what do you think? What do you want? What do you want to see in the next 5 years, or next 4 years from your president, right? So look at the values and look at what you think is right for your country, and then maybe that'll just make them think a bit more to, okay, that's probably a good idea. I should go vote. And because we want the change, right? And if you don't like something, you gotta go vote. You gotta make something happen. You can't just sit there and don't do anything about it, right? So that's what I would say to my peers or my friends if they're on the fence about it.
Mm-hmm.
There was something that my roommate said, and I hope that I don't like completely butcher this, but it was some sort of like metaphor of like, not like your options aren't going to be perfect, so there's not going to be like this perfect president that you want, but think of it like transportation in a sense. Like, they'll get you where you want to be. So like when you take a train or on a plane or something, you're not getting exactly to your destination, but you're getting close enough. So I guess just keep that in mind. Like, okay, maybe you don't love either choice. Well, choose the one that's going to get you closer to where you want to be.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I definitely would do like things along the lines of like what Tristan and Lauren are saying. Like, and if they didn't really know anything about like either of the candidates, like maybe I would help them like research or like watch the debates with them, and we could talk about it, and like maybe that would help them try to vote, go and vote.
Yeah, I think all those are good points. And no, I think it's just important to any way possible to just encourage people to vote. And it seems like all three of you have done that. And excited to see the young people just get out the vote this time. I mean, it's always important, and it's a right that we have. So why not go execute it and just be a part of, if you want to see change, if whatever you want to see in this country, be a part of it. It's a pretty special thing that we get to be a part of in this country, and Canada as well. And it's an exciting thing to do that first time. I mean, I remember, I think I was a freshman at Iowa State, so I was in similar boats to you, Charlie, and Tristan, just being freshman in college and being able to exercise that right and trying to figure out the ways to do it. It was pretty fun. It's pretty cool experience. So put myself back into those shoes back 16 years ago now, which dates myself a little bit, but but yeah, I just want to thank all of you for being a part of this, and just excited to see what happens just with the young votes, and with just UMN Crookston's votes, and just getting out the votes. And just anyone watching this, encourage you, if you haven't, just seek out ways to vote. And if you have any questions, I'm sure your peers and there are resources on campus and resources on the internet to vote. And I'm sure if you want to reach out to any of us, we can certainly help you along that process as well, as we are getting close. But there are certainly options on election day and close by here. But just thank you for joining us, all three of you, and hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you very much.